Morning. I am here with your grammar lesson of the day. Today we're talking about the difference between direct and indirect objects. Hi Andrea, texted me about her work. So you need to be going down to 7th grade, and then we're working in, no, we are working on what skill today, Miss McCreary? Do you remember? Oh, II1, is it direct or indirect object? So II1. So that quick code is going to be HRH. Okay? So basically, all we need to do in this skill is figure out what's the difference between indirect and direct object and be able to find it in a sentence. So I know that sentence structure is a difficult skill for a lot of us, myself included. But once we really understand how an author puts together a sentence, like if you look at it like a puzzle, you can kind of figure out what each piece is in it and what their purpose is. So before we start with some examples, I'm just going to give a quick rundown about what the difference between direct and indirect objects are. So take a look at this example you see here. Found a sentence. I see the sentence says, Katie threw Lisa the baseball. So here are my thinking steps, and if it was me, I would either write these down or put these somewhere, like save this on your screen to the right while you have IXL up on the left. Just press pause here and use these thinking steps every single time that you go through an example because it'll help you get the answer. So the first thing you need to do is identify the subject. So who or what does the action? Who's the person or like the place or thing that does something? So in this example, Katie threw the baseball. Who's the person that's throwing? Should have said Katie. So Katie is the subject. We've got that. Now, then I identify the verb. So what's the action? What is Katie doing? She's throwing the ball, and specifically she threw it, so it's at past tense. So we've got Katie as a subject, and then threw as the verb. We're always going to find a direct and indirect object after it. So the objects of sentences are basically what comes after a verb. So what is the verb doing? So what receives the action here? So threw, Katie threw Lisa the baseball. What receives the action here? Threw. What? Is it Lisa or the baseball? Lisa's a person, so that can't be what? Baseball, right. So what receives the action is the direct object here. Should be baseball. That's the direct object. And then the indirect object, here's how I find that. If nothing receives an action and there's no direct object, then there cannot be an indirect object. But the indirect object is always going to come in between the verb, which is threw, and its direct object, which is baseball. So the indirect object is to whom is the direct object being given. So Katie threw to whom the baseball? Lisa the baseball. So the indirect object, let's check ourselves. Did it come in between the verb and the direct object? Yes. So I know that that's the indirect object in this example. Now, when you begin working on this, I'd highly recommend pausing here, keeping these up so that you can work through these questions as you work on the examples, okay? But for now, let's do a few other examples together, and then I'll let you rock and roll. So I'm gonna put this on one side of my screen. And then we'll do a few examples here. So again, this is HRH. What's wrong? Is the phrase in bold a direct or indirect object? Okay, so mindful of the hot sun, Laura offered her dog some water. Okay. So the main sentence, the main independent clause here is Laura offered her dog some water. So first I look for the subject. Who or what does the action? Laura. What's she doing? She's offering, or she offered. So now I look for the objects. What receives the action? Is it her dog or some water? She offered water. So the direct object must be what? But who is she giving the water to? Is her dog. So is this direct or indirect? Is some water direct or indirect? Should be direct because it comes after the indirect. Remember, an indirect could never be at the end of a sentence because it has to come in between a verb and a direct object. So I'll press direct. Let's try another. Jessica usually cooks her dinner guests impressive meals. Okay. Subject. Who's doing the action? Jessica. What's the action? Cooks. Jessica cooks. Okay. Am I looking for the direct or indirect object? Her dinner guests impressive meals. Okay, cooks what? Impressive meals. To whom? Her dinner guests. So this must be the direct object because it's what? And again, it comes at the end of the sentence, so I know that it could never be the indirect object if it's at the very end. We'll do one more together and then I'll let you rock and roll on your own. Am I looking for direct or indirect in this one? Dr. Romero bought her office staff holiday fruit baskets. Okay, first thing I do, find the subject. Who or what does the action? Dr. Romero. What's he doing? Actually, a she. Bought. Action is bought. Dr. Romero, subject, bought. Okay, so what does Dr. Romero buy? Holiday fruit baskets. So this must be the direct object, but let me just confirm. Her office staff? Yeah, that's whom is she giving it to, so that's the indirect object. So holiday fruit baskets must be the direct object. Okay, y'all, got you to 30. You can take it from here. You the best. Thank you, thank you.